Tour Pro Brandon Cobb here at Green Pond Landing. We're about to get out here on Lake Hartwell, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I think may play in the Bassmaster Classic here in a couple weeks. One of the first things the Bassmaster Classic contenders are going to have to do when they put their boat in for official practice is figure out what stage the fish are in. The month the Classic's in is so close to that spawn, pre-spawn, hard to tell what time, that they're going to have to look at the water temperature and then get up on the bank and see if they see any spawners and figure out what the best approach is. One awesome thing about Lake Hartwell is the diversity of the lake. Not only do you have the clear water, spotted bass, deep type fishing, you also have hundreds of tributaries that get stained water, especially after some heavy rains like we've had this year. One of my favorite areas to target is like this area right here. We've got a clay transition to rock, and in these creeks the fish will move up on the rock, and you'll find some banks that'll just be loaded with them, and you just have to cover water with this crankbait until you run into the groups. The shoreline of Lake Hartwell has docks all along it. They can be awesome opportunities to catch fish in the spawn and pre-spawn. Really 12 months out of the year, but especially the spawn and pre-spawn. Fish will actually spawn under the walkway and they'll stage under the front part of the docks. And especially during sunny days, they can be awesome opportunities to catch a big one. One of my favorite ways to fish them is a wacky worm. Skip under there and get a slow fall, and you can catch some of those big females moving up the spawn. In addition to the private docks out here, there's also countless marina docks. And these marina docks, they offer a huge area for the fish to stage under as they move up the spawn, and they also offer a great spawning area behind the docks at the base. The fish will use it because it's a protected area, and the resident fish that live on the docks year-round will move up there to spawn. These could definitely be a good way to catch a big fish, or even just camp on them and maybe catch a limit during the Classic. One factor the pros in the Bassmaster Classic are going to have to deal with this year that should help the fishing is we have rising lake levels. We had a lot of rain this year. We've got some muddy water in the creeks from it, but we also, it came up a couple feet and maybe even up a couple more feet in a month. So we've got all this grass, dog fennel grass in the water. The fish love to use it as cover in the pre-spawn, and they spawn in it great. This could definitely be a player. One often overlooked pattern out here on Lake Hartwell, especially during the pre-spawn, is bridges. In specific, bridges leading back into creeks. There's hundreds of them here in Anderson, where all the creeks run into the areas of Anderson where roads cross every which way. So you can literally fish bridges all day, and the fish use them as travel corridors. It makes a funnel where you can target them moving back into the creeks. Offshore fishing on Lake Hartwell can be great if the fish are still in the pre-spawn mode. The fish will actually stay out deep because of the large herring population until they're like right ready to spawn. They'll move from 35 foot up to the bank in just a day. So if the fish are in the pre-spawn mode, a lot of fish will stay out around these road beds. Lake Hartwell's covered up with old road beds from before they made the lake. As you can see on my Lowrance right here, we've got rock piles and a road bed that runs across, and the fish will hang out in the rock or on the drop from the road bed and wait for those schools of herring to swim over, and they'll gorge on them before they pull up and spawn. Pre-spawn bite is on, this will be the way it's won. If I was fishing the Bassmaster Classic in a couple of weeks, there's a few key baits that I would definitely have tied on. If it's a pre-spawn type tournament, I definitely think there'll be plenty of fish caught cranking. I basically have a fire tiger type crankbait and a crawfish type crankbait. This is a Yozuri 3DB mid runner. This is a dual hardcore shad. Just two confidence baits I have, cover a lot of water, catch pre-spawn fish, especially in muddy water. Also have some version of rattle bait. This is a Yozuri rattling vibe. This works great when you have the rising water and some of the grass gets in the water. You can snatch out of grass, fish up, feeding on shad, getting ready to spawn. We'll bite this. In these clear water reservoirs like Hartwell, can't go wrong with a jerk bait. Even during the spawn, there'll be some fish still pre-spawn, stage around docks on some points and things. Jerk baits, great way to cover water and catch some big fish too. With the raising water this year and the muddy water, a spinner bait is always a bait that you want to have tied on in muddy water or water coming up, especially with some of the flooded grass in the water. Fish will eat this during spawn or pre-spawn. Good bait to have. Just a 1/2 ounce double willow is what I would go with. With the countless number of docks on Lake Hartwell, you can't have some dock baits tied on. There's basically two baits I fish on docks out here. If I'm in the clear water or lightly stained water, I'll go with a wacky rig. This is a Zoom fluke stick. I pinch the tail off. Sometimes you can leave the tail, whichever way you want. Just wacky rig, weightless, light line, 10, 12 pound test. Skip it under the docks and wait for one to get it on the fall. Also, this is a greenfish tackle all-purpose jig. This is one of my signature jigs. I like to skip docks with it when the water gets a little muddier. I use it in clear water too, but it's a great, I like a 1/2 ounce, skip under docks in muddy water, and you can catch pre-spawn fish, or you can bed fish with it. I use a white jig quite often in bed fish, so if it's a spawn tournament, I'd have a white one tied on. But these are all baits that I would have in my arsenal here in a couple weeks for the Bassmaster Classic. I just love Hartwell because you can always catch fish here. They're biting year round. It's got clear water, muddy water. The scenery is awesome. I mean, you've got nice docks to look at, houses all around the lake, and you've got plenty to fish. Bassmaster Classic is one of the biggest tournaments in tournament fishing, and having it locally, getting to watch some of the guys that I grew up watching, and yes, I fish professionally, but I still watch them. I mean, it's awesome. I'm fans of everybody that does it, and just having them here locally and getting to see how they approach the lake that I grew up fishing. And I feel like I know what to do out there, but it's cool seeing what other people do.